back here on Inside Wrestling Radio. Got my great friend Brodie Ray Chase in the house. Running short on time, Brodie, but in the short few minutes we got left, I wanted to pick up a little bit where you and I met in North Carolina. We were working for a guy up there, promoter up there, and I just remember to this day vividly. We were in the back, and we were greenhorns, didn't know anything, didn't know what they say from Shinola, you know. And we were back there, man, nervous as a wreck, just trying to get ourselves together and get ourselves over. And I remember looking up to the door. The door flies open. And you ever see those commercials where the guy comes in and the lights behind him and it's like the angels are singing and all that stuff. And there comes through the door this monster of a man, this big barrel chest, big muscles, long flowing blonde hair, you know, steel blue eyes, and he's looking around and just nodding at people. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? And I'm like, Mickey, my partner at the time, Mickey Friends, Mickey, who's that guy? He goes, I think that's Brodie Chase. So we stood over there in the corner, and we're like, hey, should we say hello? Should we speak? Because, you know, back then, you were told you don't speak until you're spoken to.
Right.
You know, you don't, anybody who's over, you don't bother them. You know, you say hello, you shake their hand, you go sit down and shut up until they come back to you. Mm-hmm. So we didn't really know how to approach it. We didn't know what your attitude would be. So we were kind of offish at first. And then when you came in, you were just like, hey, guys, how you doing? Good to see you. Just a super friendly guy, you know. And we just were like, immediately, I felt like we immediately all hit it off. And it was, I think, from that time forward, we all started kind of hanging out a little bit, and maybe we'd go to the bars a little bit after shows. We're not going to talk too much about that.
We can't talk too much about it.
We can't. The statutes of limitations hadn't run out on a lot of that stuff from back in those days.
Could be yours.
But I just remember those times and meeting you and learning from you and listening to your stories. And like I said when I introduced you at the beginning of this thing, you are one of the very, and that's not because you're my friend and not because you're here. I'll tell anybody this. You are one of the very few people that I will, when you talk, I'll listen to what you have to say, because you just do have so much knowledge about the business. And I think it's like a big oil well. It's untapped. A lot of people aren't listening to that because they all want to get themselves over, and they all want to be, I'm a superstar. I don't need to listen to anybody. I'm young. I know this everything. All I need to know how to do is cut a flip, and I'm over. That even scratched the surface of what you need to know in this business. And I think people like you should be trainers I'm talking about for WWE, for TNA. You know, you're the guys that they need to be mining this information from. And because, like I said, you have so much knowledge, and you do know the business inside and out. And talk a little bit about training younger guys. I know you've done a lot of that in the past few years.
Well, I do love the training aspect of it, and it's the little things. That's what I harp on so much, is the little things. I don't care about the flippy flip and the floppy flop, but I do care about how you lock up,
right? Sure.
And how headlock looks, and how headlock takeover looks, and how shoulder tackle looks. And actually, when I did the last WWE show, we were doing Raw. And everybody was in the ring, and we were all working around and talking and carrying on. And the Fox girl,
Brodie, hold on just a second. I'm getting a notice here from my producer. We are out of time. I got to get Charlie back in here to close out the show real quick. Listen, I really want to touch back on what you were going with the WWE thing, and I want to bring it up today because I know you're doing a new interesting character in the NCW right now. We want to talk about all that. Can you come back next week and let's do part 2 of this interview?
I'd be glad to.
That's
more
awesome.
than happy.
That's awesome. Brodie, it's such a great thrill to have you here in
Thank you
Inside
for having
Wrestling
me.
Radio. We'll get you. We'll talk about your websites and all that stuff. Real quick, what's your website you got that we can get people to right now?
My personal training website is the number 3BPT, which is Bodies by Brodie, which is 3B, PT.com, and that's my personal training, and then Brodie Chase at Facebook.
Brodie, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate you doing the interview. We got to get out of here. Charlie, you got anything to close the show with?
All I want to do is just once again thanks Heatwaves Motors for sponsoring the show. Come out to local guys. Tune in again next week for the second half of that interview.
What did you just say? Come out to local guy? What are you, on drugs? Don't forget about that Facebook page, fans. Inside Wrestling Radio fan page. Don't forget about the Twitter, Wrestle Radio 860. And don't forget the all-important email address, 860wrestling@gmail.com. 860wrestling@gmail.com. Send us in all those news, notes, and results. Till next week, we'll be back with some more Brodie Chase and more news and results right here on Inside Wrestling Radio, WLBG.